comment and says, go kill yourself, go back to your country, Canada giving you a life, why are you complaining, why are you asking the government to do more? You know, you have given me a life here, and I contribute to the society. I play a part as much as you do. Sometimes some immigrants actually play a bigger role in our society than the people who actually is living here. Because you give them a chance, they take the chance, and they want to do it much, much bigger. Because they're grateful and they want to show that. And so, I want to go back to the foster care system with that. You give me a life, you made a promise to me that I'm going to be free. I'm going to be having a good life here. That's a lie that you put me up to. You told me I'm going to be happy. As soon as I land, you put my mom in a mental hospital, you put my sister in a different foster home, and you put me in a different foster home. What kind of freedom is that? I was better off in a refugee camp. Sometimes that's how I feel. I was better off in a refugee camp because, you know what I had? I had a family. Maybe we had a tough time. Maybe we didn't have food to eat. Maybe we didn't have the freedom. But you know, sometimes you don't need anything in this world as long as you get family and the love and the support from your family. Nothing can ever replace that. So that's the thing that people need to realize. You bring a family, and also you gotta make sure they're happier. You know, you can't give them everything that they have lost, but you could try just a little. Try to walk in their shoes. We didn't come to this country to change your way of living. We adjust to it. When we will always do so. Being a refugee doesn't mean we're always complaining. We're complaining because we were made a promise, and the promise was never kept. And we never got the justice that we deserve. And I lost my brother. I was bounced around in foster cares. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on and on. I just want to make one last point. I don't know if you guys seen a BBC article about a Christian girl being in a Muslim home in foster care. Everybody was criticizing her. Where was all this news media when I was in a foster care, when I was eating pork, I was eating, not praying? Where was all this media? When a Muslim is a perpetrator instead of the victim, it's always the story turns around much, much differently. I don't mean to come here and criticize religion point of view. I'm not a religious scholar. But where were you guys? One person like me didn't speak a word of English. You separated me from my mother. You made me suffer for 3 months. Where was all those media? Where was all those people that are criticizing me because I want to do something good, because I want to contribute to the society? Look deep into those people. We have been through a lot in our life. You know, when I was watching that movie, I had breakdown every single second of it. You gave me a life. I'm not happy. You took my brother away. You put my family in 3 different parts of the country. What kind of freedom is that? I was much happier. I didn't have food, I didn't have freedom, but I had my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Does anyone else want to ask a question? Sorry, I can't see that. In the red, can you, yeah? Is that possible?
This is a very important story. Where will it go from
people couldn't hear, boils down to what are the next plans? What's the follow-up to this film? Do you want
Thank you so much for your words. You know, our main impetus behind doing the film was we knew that we couldn't take the play all over the world. You know, there's 14 cast members, some are very young, some have jobs and in school, and so we knew we were limited in terms of taking the play, touring it as much as, you know, we wanted to do that. It can be very difficult. And so the film for us was, in a way to circumvent that. And the goal really when we were making this film was how do we take the power of the play, seeing it live, and try to put it into a film. And so that's why we did the reenactment sort of cinematically and tried to capture the essence of their stories. And we're able to do things that you couldn't actually do in seeing the play, like do close-ups and see the emotion in their face. And so for us, with this film, we really want to try to circulate it as far and wide as possible. This is the first screening. We're starting just with cities close by, but really our goal with this was to not let their story die. The play is such a phenomenal piece of theater, and their stories are so incredible. We didn't want it to just do a few theater performances and then that's it, and then the project dies. With this film, it's now you know, an archive of their stories and that we can circulate. So really the plan is to try to get the film everywhere as possible. We want to try to take it and tour it around the world. You know, a big dream of ours really is to try to take it to the camps, show it to other Rohingyas around the world, because I think this is very much their personal stories, but I think it's the story of most Rohingya people. We've had other Rohingyas around the world reach out to us and say, thank you for making this film, thank you for sharing the stories, because I think for them this is their story as well. And so we really want to make sure that people all around the world can see it, other Rohingyas in different parts of the world can see it. You know, it's interesting, Bob Ray's report came out recently, and his first recommendation under his list of recommendations is we need to share the stories of the Rohingya people. We need to listen to their stories and we need to share it. And in terms of what you can do, what's next, it starts there. You know, the Rohingya crisis has only really gotten a lot of news coverage in the past few months. When we were making this film, it had little to no news coverage. You know, that was also a big motivation for making it, because nobody was talking about it. As far and wide as the play got, it still wasn't, you know, in the public, the name Rohingya wasn't publicly known. And so now that people are starting to learn more about the Rohingya crisis, we want to galvanize that traction and try to get this film as far and wide as possible. And so it starts with you, the fact that you showed up tonight, the fact that you're here, that you just witnessed all of their testimonies, the parents hear their testimonies. I always tell audiences, it's a responsibility as a witness. When you witness testimonies of genocide, it's our responsibility to share those stories and make sure they're heard. And so I think it really starts there.
I just want to build on what Yusuf was saying about how you can be part of what's next. We created a handout which may have been handed to you down the aisles, is also available on the table, that starts with you sharing the stories and taking them forward. Yusuf referenced Bob Ray. He was appointed by Prime Minister Trudeau to be a special envoy to investigate and look into what's happened and to represent Canada and trying to push for change. And we are waiting in the coming days for the government to respond to his final report. And if you were to pick up the phone and tell your MP to say, I am very concerned about what is happening with the Rohingya, I want to see Canada to take very strong action, then that will go a long way in terms of creating the political support that they can need to press for Canada to take as strong a role as possible in terms of not only addressing the humanitarian needs. Canada has contributed over $45 million, which is great. There could be more, but also to address the question of human rights violations that are still going on today, and the question of lack of citizenship for the Rohingya. So if you were to call your MP and to say, please, we need strong action from Canada today in the coming days, then that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
We have a little bit of time left. I think what we'll do is, if I can get 3 questions, and then we'll throw them up to them, and then we'll have to end it there. But we're still around if you want to come up and have a one-on-one chat with us. So I first saw your hand up, so if you can project.
Thank you. My name is I'm a member of a group called the Rohingya Human Rights Network. It is not so much for the cast, who, by the way, and the director and all participants. Thank you for sharing your stories. But this is more for the audience. Samantha referenced the Bob Ray report. That was 4 months after Bob Ray was appointed. It is now 8 months since the atrocities were first reported last August. And it's not just about a phone call. There are recommendations in the Bob Ray report that are essential to take